So dry your eyes, save all the tears you cry, because that's what dreams are made of. That's right, that's today's video. I had a dream last night. This video will be entitled Juxtaposition's Dream. I'm not sure if it was a nightmare or a dream. Anyway, I hearkened back to my career, 1980, 1981, 1982, whereupon Juxtaposition himself was employed by a global international accounting firm assigned to the auditing department. The way the offices are set up is the most important office is the auditing department. They generate the most revenue, and that's where I was assigned. We also had a tax department that did estate planning and death tax returns, gift tax returns, and income tax returns for wealthy clients in family businesses. And our third department was called it was called Information Technology or Management Consulting Services. I think it was MCS is what we called it. There's so many different names for it. That was a rather small part of a San Francisco office where I was assigned at 555 California Street on the 30th floor. 30th floor. We took 75% of the floor space of the 30th floor, and we shared the 1/4 space with a Japanese tractor company that competed with Caterpillar. Trying to think of the name of that Japanese manufacturing sales office. Komatsu Tractors is what it was. All right. So I worked on the 30th floor. And back in the day being 1980, 81, 82, I didn't need any eyeball recognition. We did have security guards in the lobby, and we had them stationed for the what's called the express elevator bay for the executives of Bank of America, whose world headquarters was on the 47th floor of a 52-floor building. On the 52nd floor, the highest floor, there was two different operations up there. One is called the Carnelian Restaurant, which featured five-star dining and spectacular views of San Francisco. And then there was a private component called the Bankers Club on the same floor. And there was also a bar, saloon, but we always considered that part of the Carnelian room. So like if you had reservations, you got there early, you go into the bar area, have a drink, and that was set up to look right out at Coit Tower, Alcatraz, Tiburon Belvedere, Richardson Bay, and the Golden Gate Bridge. All very visible from the 52nd story. Made famous by Clint Eastwood in his portrayal of Dirty Harry, Inspector Callahan, Harry Callahan, whose very first homicide murder presented to us in Dirty Harry was a sniper who shot from the roof directly above the Carnelian Room restaurant. The building opened in 1968. 1968 is when the Bank of America building opened, and I believe Dirty Harry came out 1971 or 2, a couple years later, and it was a play on the Zodiac killings, which had diminished. They started in 1968, ran through 1969, ended in October 69. By the way, there never was a Zodiac killer, and I don't care what YouTube podcasters tell you. There's no such person like Zodiac, and anytime you involve Melvin Belli and KGO Television, Jim Dunbar into a homicide murder case, you know it's going to be a hoax, right? Now, were there killings? Yes. Did it have anything to do with any Zodiac killer? Absolutely not. They're all military victims. They're all victims of military intelligence. They're the children of military intelligence. And would be military soldiers who would have perpetrated the crime, and there would have been well over a dozen Zodiac killers involved, at least 12. All right, so I want you to know that this is where Juxtaposition began his professional career in accounting, finance, auditing, and looking under the rocks, getting my fingernails dirty. And that was what last night's dream was all about. I dreamt that I was still working on the 30th floor, and the familiar names, they all popped up in my dream. When I first went to work at Ernst & Ernst, it was called Ernst & Ernst, and the managing director was named Alva Giffen, who retired to Sonoma. I have never seen him here in 15 years. I've never seen him. I think he's probably passed away. Anyway, he was about 66, 67 years old when I took the job as an intern, started as an intern, and that was in January 1980. And what I should tell you is Alva Giffen was tall, and he and Frank Draplick, who was one of the partners along Partners Row on the north side of the building, all with spectacular views of the San Francisco Bridge, San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge, and Alcatraz. You should know that Frank Draplick and Al Giffen were made famous for landing the Bank of America annual audit, which they did in 1968. So right when they moved into the building, the Bank of America building, they also had a new audit client, which was substantial, the mighty Bank of America, the largest retail branch network in the United States in 1968. All right, so that's why they were made partners. And then rather quickly, Al Giffen announced his retirement, left, and was replaced by a Seattle partner by the name of Bob Bush. But I was told to always address him as Mr. Bush. Mr. Bush. So Alva Giffen told me to call him Al, Big Al, right? So we had Big Al, and I was used to Big Al for at least 3 to 4 months. I was calling Al Giffen Al. But then he was replaced by a younger Mr. Bush, Bob Bush. Anyway, I had a chance to personally work with Bob Bush on what was called PMC, Pacific Medical Center, also known by California Care in Pacific Heights, and Bob Bush, who was the managing director of office, he was very dependent on me on that audit. He said voluntarily he wanted to do hands-on accounting work 1 week per year so that he wouldn't lose his feel of it. But I got the impression he was nervous, and he even sat on some staples. He had, a really expensive suit, and he sat on staples. I'll never forget. That kind of cracked him for me because, look, I'm not at his level, but I didn't sit on staples, okay? He knocked some staples off the table onto his chair, and he sat on them, and I thought that was, very pedestrian. Not befitting of a managing partner making beaucoup bucks, right? I don't know what his salary was, but it would have been the highest salary of anyone in the office. And there were 280 people in that office, and so my dream is that I'm back in the office. We normally didn't have 280 people at one time in the office because most of the people are out wherever the clients are, all over Northern California or Los Angeles. They were out working and charging, hundreds of dollars per hour in revenue. So if you're in the office, you need to be wrapping it up and getting back into the field, right? It's just like James Bond 007, he's not comfortable in the office or in the lab. He's better off out and about, right? We had that policy in that office. I just want to make sure to drive home the architecture of Ernst & Ernst, a Big 8 CPA firm. I understand there's only 4 Big 8 CPA firms now. There's the Big 4. But anyway, they quickly changed the name from Ernst & Ernst to Ernst & Winnie. Then they got the contract to audit the Olympic results for the Los Angeles 1984 Olympic Games. And Mr. Bush informed everyone to wear the Olympic badge icon on on either our tie clip or on our lapel. And I did that for about 1 week, and then it was a pain in the neck, and I always forgot, and I was non-compliant for the next 2 years. I never complied. And, I was told I'd get in trouble, but nothing ever happened. But there I am, juxtaposition, not complying with Mr. Bush's directive. First of all, I don't respect the Olympic Games in the first place. Number 2 is I'm not wearing a stupid icon which represents doping and corporate cheating. All right, so, but anyway, be that as it may, the firm made some money on the Olympics. What else is new? You should know that all the Big 8 CPA firms, they're all part of corporate America, despite the fact that they are a partnership. They're not a corporation. They're a general partnership of highly paid partners throughout the whole world, the globe, right? The Geneva Global Governance. And the most important technical partner in charge of the audit of Bank of America was Charlie Shreve. So I spent a reasonable amount of time with Charlie Shreve since I was assigned to the Bank of America audit. Part of it, it's an extensive audit and requires 80 to 100 CPAs to handle it. All right, so then there was other people that I worked with. There's a hierarchy, obelisk chain of command, and at the tippy top would be the managing director of the office, which would be Alva Giffen and or his replacement, Robert Bush, aka Mr. Bush. And so that would be, the tip of the pyramid in the San Francisco office. Then the next level below would be, you could tell by, if you go walk into the lobby of our office, which is hardwood floors with a ginormous view of the Golden Gate Bridge, and a conference room that's behind the receptionist. She is separated by a glass wall. There's no obstruction. When you get off the elevator and the double doors are wide open after 7 in the morning, we open it up. You look directly at the Golden Gate Bridge and Belvedere from the moment you get off the elevator on either side of the banks. There are two different sides of elevators, and you get this spectacular view. It's breathtaking, it really is. And then to the right, the first office is Mr. Bush's office, followed by a little tinier office for his executive secretary. Can't remember her name. Then the next office is the most important sequence of the partners. So it was Charlie Shreve was the second in command, and he had a substantially large office. And the next office was Gail Fund, who also worked as a technical partner on the Bank of America audit, so he's important. Then Frank Droplik, who helped land the account. Then Bob Maxwell, and then Tom Camp, who is not having anything whatsoever to do with the Bank of America, but is a premier nationally recognized expert in healthcare, hospitals, and physician reimbursement by Medicare. And I ended up working with Tom Camp quite a bit during the 3 years, the 3 different busy seasons that I was there. And I worked with Tom Camp with no intermediary interference. The levels start up there at the managing director, then partner level, then manager, supervisor, senior accountant, then advanced staff accountant, accountant, staff accountant, and then intern. So I started out at the very bottom as an intern, and I worked my way up to be a senior. By virtue of committing a crime, I was given a promotion before I really deserved it. Was one way to silence me, I think. Anyway, what I wanted to tell you is that you typically have a commanding officer. So when I started as an intern, like everybody was a commanding officer to me. But it worked out, within the first year of working there, I did many assignments working directly for Tom Camp. So it was a partner level and me, and he's a nationally recognized partner. And he's more famous than Charlie Shreve is. But Charlie Shreve lives in Hillsborough. So, next to, Patty Hearst's father lives there. What you should know is that I also worked with Bill Mercer, who was a partner in our Oakland office, and worked with him without any interference. It was just me. I did Gerber baby food audit 2 years in a row, and I both times reported to Bill Mercer, who died of pancreatic cancer at a young age. There was an Ernie Zebrenner, and he gave me some advice a couple of times involving some of my activities. I never worked with him on a case, but he liked to give me like fatherly advice and to keep me, sort of steered in the right direction, right? And Ernie Zembruder, I think his name was. And we had tax partner Dave Keener. I never worked with him, which was good because he had some issues later that it was good that I wasn't involved with him. But I did talk to him, and he was in the tax department. And we had who else did I work with? Well, we had Mike Shaw, Dave Catalano, Joe Engler. They were managers. And I had Martha Peterson. I did work with her. I didn't enjoy working with her. Jennifer Riley, she was nice. Sandy Cole, very nice. Serious. She's very serious. Everyone is really serious. You have to know every single person that worked there, including Charlie Shreve and Mr. Bush. They're all on pins and needles all the time. Everybody's in like a current of fear that they're going to make a mistake or get fired. That's very evident when you get off the elevator. It's very tense. It's a tense office. It's very serious. Even though they have this really strict obelisk chain of command, everybody's sort of walking on eggshells. I'll never forget that. It was never really comfortable in that office. Sometimes I'd come in at 5 in the morning to study for the CPA exam because I couldn't figure out when I was ever had time to study because they were working me 55 to 60 hours a week. I didn't know when I was going to study for the exam, and I didn't want to flunk. All right, so I come in early so I get like 2 hours of work of studying before I began working on client matters. All right, George Hansen, Mike Malone, Bob Powers, who had recruited me in the first place, Bryant Tong from UC Berkeley. He was a piece of work. Anyway, wanted to say that those are some of the names that conjured up memories in my dream last night. So what I wanted to just impart to you is that even though I was assigned to the San Francisco office, after I had taken initiative and gone into a cipher-coded part of Bank of America known as Grand Cayman Accounting, offshore banking, which was on Pine Street in the city of San Francisco, I find that quite bizarre that there are no alabaster beaches on Pine Street, and yet there I am on the 9th floor of 555 California Street in Grand Cayman Accounting. And I didn't think I was in the Caribbean. I did not think that. I thought I was in the city of San Francisco. But anyway, I was told it was off limits and I didn't belong there. And I was threatened by a number of Bank of America people. And then I was cajoled by Charlie Shreve himself and later by Mr. Bush. And we had a discussion over at the Knights of Malta on the 13th floor of the Merchants Exchange building at 465 California Street. If you don't know, that's a number 33. That comports to number 33. The Bank of America building, the 555, that's a 33 also. 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 15. 15 is a 1 and a 5, adds up to 6. 6 is 2 3s, 33. The Trans-America Pyramid, which I did have Woodward Clyde Consultants as a client that I went over there. I can't remember. I think they were on the 30th floor, if I'm not mistaken. They were on 27, which is a 999. The street address of the Trans-America Pyramid is 600 Montgomery Street, which is a 33. So you got the Trans-America Pyramid, the Merchants Exchange building, which is the tallest building in San Francisco not to collapse in the 1906 earthquake, and the Bank of America building. Those three buildings are all 33s, the highest level of the pyramid of the Masonic order. And I've been in all three of them, and I've been on the 13th floor of the Merchant Exchange building, which is their highest floor. At one time, Julia Morgan's architect office was there, along with the Knights Malta, which is a fraternal brother of the Knights Templar in Geneva, Switzerland, Geneva Global Governance, right? So you see how small the world really is. I'm working for an auditing firm that basically is a part of Swiss Bank Authority, as is Bank of America. There'd be no Bank of America without Switzerland. So I just thought you should know that it is a very steep pyramid, and that typically, you report to the commander one level above you. But they made exceptions to that rule, and many times it was just me as a staff accountant talking with Tom Camp, and then later as an advanced staff and then a senior working on hospital audits for Tom Camp directly, with no intermediary between us. And everyone in the office was living in fear of Tom Kemp because he was one partner who cursed. He cursed and kept his door open so everyone could hear him cursing. And everyone was afraid of him because he might berate you with curse words or something. But I'm just telling you, me personally, Juxtaposition, I worked with him on and off for 3 years, and I never had a problem with Tom Camp. And after I left the firm, and by the way, he left the firm also, I won't tell you why, but it was a good story. Anyway, he referred clients to me. He was helpful. He offered counsel to me. By the way, he's the only partner that owned a P-47 Mustang and a P-51. He owned a P-51 Mustang, a P-47 fighter plane, and really impressed me, a B-17 bomber. He owned 3 airplanes. That's what I call a badass partner who was nationally known for Medicare audits and reimbursement and coveted by hospitals and doctors alike. All right, so that's what dreams are made of in the juxtaposition realm, is that that was the beginning of my career. That was the foundation of my career. It was very militarized, extremely. I wasn't drafted into the Army, but I worked for Ernst & Ernst, which became Ernst & Winnie, and then became Ernst & Young after I had left. They merged with Arthur Young, dropped the Arthur and dropped the Winnie, and became Ernst & Young. But what I want you to know is that I definitely felt like I was in a military operation. I always felt like you need to talk to your immediate commanding officer and don't go around, and or you're going to get in trouble. But the one time that I really did get in trouble was when I went into a secured area without asking for permission. And I learned a valuable lesson. Always ask for forgiveness as opposed to permission. Had I asked for permission, I never would have been allowed into Grand Cayman County. But because I did, I learned quite a few things that I'm not going to discuss into this video, having to do with how banks can launder money. And you do know that offshore banking is primarily about privacy, right? It's about laundering money. In other words, if the money is being used for criminal activities, it's money laundering. And that's what they do. Okay, there's money laundering going on at every single bank in the world, which are all controlled by Switzerland. That means that Switzerland is the money laundering criminal in the world. Switzerland. That would be Zurich, that would be Basel, that would be Geneva, that would be Bern, that would be Lake Lugano and Lugano, and that would be Zug, home to CRISPR Therapeutics and CBDC, cryptocurrency, hyperledger systems in Zug. That's money laundering, right? And that is what it would be like to tokenize all humans on this planet. That's a form of money laundering felonious crimes. Do like and share my videos because, as you may know, I am heavily shadow banned. Bye now.